Hey everyone, ready to dive into another travel topic. Today we're talking Thailand.
Ooh, Thailand.
Land of smiles,
True,
amazing
true.
food, stunning beaches.
Definitely on my bucket list.
But before you book that flight, we got to talk about something crucial, the water situation.
Yeah, good point. Can you just drink from the tap there, or is it a bottled water only kind of place?
That's exactly what we're going to unpack today. We're using
Hmm.
this awesome article called Is Thailand's Tap Water Safe to Drink? Get ready to separate fact from fiction.
I'm all ears. My first trip to Thailand, well, let's just say I was so caught up in the excitement, I didn't even think about the water.
Oh no, what happened?
I kind of just assumed, Thailand's pretty developed, tap water's gotta be fine, right?
Yeah, I can see how you think
And
that.
so I brushed my teeth with it, made coffee, the usual.
Uh-oh, I'm sensing this didn't end well.
Let's just say my stomach did not have a good time. After that, bottled water was my best friend.
Oof. Yeah, that's a rough way to learn a lesson.
Definitely learned the hard way.
So let's break this down for our listeners. What does the article say about the water itself? Like, where's it coming from?
Okay, so in Bangkok, most of the water comes from the Chao Phraya River.
Grab.
And get this, the Metropolitan Waterworks Authority actually treats it to meet World Health Organization standards.
So it's clean at the source.
Exactly. It's not the water itself that's the problem. It's more about how it gets to you.
Interesting. So what's the issue then?
The pipes. Especially in older parts of the city, the pipes can be a bit, well, dodgy.
Ah, makes sense.
Think about it. Perfect breeding ground for bacteria.
Next.
The article even mentions this case in a Bangkok condo in Let Freo. Residents got sick because the water tanks were contaminated. Definitely not what you want on vacation.
No kidding. Okay, so maybe not drinking straight from the tap, but what about boiling it? Doesn't that kill everything?
It's a good first step, definitely. Boiling will kill most of the bacteria and viruses. But it doesn't do anything for those pesky heavy metals or chemicals that might be hanging out in those old pipes.
Right, so boiling is good, but not a guaranteed fix.
Exactly. And that's why you see a lot of locals and expats, especially the ones living there long term, they swear by water filters,
Yeah.
especially for drinking and cooking.
Extra layer of protection. That makes a lot of sense. Now, what about those water refill stations you see at the airports?
Oh, those are awesome. The article specifically says the water at both Suvarnabhumi and Don Mueang airports is filtered and totally safe.
That's great to know. Especially after a long flight, you're already dehydrated. That's like a welcome relief.
Exactly, like a little oasis before you head out into the world of Thai water.
Okay, airport water check. But what about hotels? Most provide bottled water, but can you use the tap water for things like making coffee or tea?
Good question. Generally, brushing your teeth or boiling for hot drinks is probably fine. But for drinking straight up, even in hotels, stick to the bottled stuff.
Got it. Better safe than sorry. Now, let's talk islands. Everyone's dreaming of those beautiful Thai islands. Is the water situation different there?
It's mostly the same story. Tap water for brushing, bottled water for drinking. The article did mention that islands like Koh Samui can be a bit trickier.
How so?
Well, a lot of the water has to be transported and stored, which adds to the risk of contamination.
So basically, the further you get from the main cities, the more cautious you got to be.
Exactly. Tourist hotspots like Phuket and Pattaya are similar to Bangkok, but those more remote islands. Definitely be extra careful.
Got it. Okay, last question on this topic. What about chlorine and fluoride? Do they add that to the water in Thailand?
Good one. So they usually add chlorine for disinfection, so you might notice a slight taste.
Ugh, yeah, I hate that chlorine taste.
It's harmless, but if you're sensitive, a filter is your friend. Now, fluoride, that's interesting. They don't typically add that to the water in Thailand.
Oh, really?
Yep, so if you're worried about dental health, especially for longer stays, pack some fluoride toothpaste or find other sources.
Good tip, especially for those digital nomads spending months there. Okay, you've mentioned filters a few times. Seems like they're pretty popular with locals and expats.
Oh yeah, big time. They're everywhere. People want that extra peace of mind.
Makes sense. And I guess it's good for the environment, too. Less plastic bottles.
Huge plus. You've got basic carbon filters for taste and chlorine, all the way up to fancy reverse osmosis systems that filter out pretty much everything.
So filters are a good option for anyone concerned about water safety and the planet. But let's be real, bottled water is still king in Thailand, right?
Oh yeah, it's like their national drink. You walk into any store, it's a wall of plastic bottles.
So how do you even choose? Is it all about price, or is there more to it?
Well, price is definitely a factor. It's super affordable there.
That's good to know.
But some people are picky about taste. Others might care about the bottle design or how eco-friendly the company is.
Right. So many options.
It can be overwhelming, but that's a whole other deep dive.
Perfect. We'll tackle the wild world of Thai bottled water after a quick break. Stay tuned. Okay, so let's get into this bottled water situation. It does feel like every store you walk into in Thailand is just a sea of plastic bottles.
You are not kidding. It's like, wow, so many brands.
So many. So
Okay.
how do you pick? Do you just go for the cheapest one, or is there like a strategy here?
Well, price is definitely a big thing. I mean, bottled water in Thailand is crazy cheap.
Okay, good to know.
But yeah, some people have their favorites just based on taste. And then, some people are really into the like bottle design or if the company is like, doing good things for the environment, that kind of stuff.
Right, so many factors. And speaking of the environment, all this plastic, I mean, that can't be good, right?
Yeah, that's a huge problem in Thailand, plastic waste in general.
So are people doing anything about it?
Yeah.
Like trying to reduce the plastic?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're seeing more companies try to use packaging that's, biodegradable or recyclable.
Okay, that's good.
Which is a start, but it's still tough because, those single-use plastic bottles, they're just so cheap and easy. So it's hard to break that habit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. It's like, on the one hand, you want safe water, but then on the other hand, it's like, all this plastic.
Exactly. It's a tough balance. A lot of countries are dealing with that, not just Thailand.
Totally. It's like, how do we make sure people have clean water without messing up the planet?
Big question.
Big question.
Yeah.
So, okay, back to our traveler, about to head to Thailand. What are some, practical tips for navigating the bottled water scene?
Don't stress too much about finding the, perfect brand. Most of the bottled water there is totally fine.
Okay, that's good to know.
Just look for it's the Thai Industrial Standard mark. It's like TIS, just to be sure.
Okay, TIS, got it.
And yeah, just find something that tastes good and fits your budget.
Makes sense. Any other tips?
Oh, get the big bottles when you can.
Mhm.
Cheaper and less waste overall.
Yeah.
And, bring your own reusable bottle if you can. You can find those refill stations all over, in hotels, malls, that kind of thing.
That's a good point. Okay, one more question. Street food. It's like the best part of going to Thailand, but are those vendors using bottled water for cooking?
That's a good question. I think most of them just use tap water, especially if they're like boiling things or washing ingredients.
But didn't we say tap water isn't safe to drink?
True, but boiling kills most of the bad stuff. And think about it, they're cooking over those super high heats, so the risk of getting sick from the water they use is pretty low.
Okay, that's
I mean, street food's such a big part of their culture. Millions of people eat it every day, and they're fine. Honestly, some of the best food you'll find is going to be from those street vendors.
I totally agree. I love street food. But I get it. Some people might still be a little freaked out knowing it's cooked with tap water.
Yeah, totally. I mean, food safety is a personal thing. But just do your research, trust your gut, and if you're not comfortable with something, don't eat it. It's your trip.
Exactly. Listen to your gut. It's good advice. Okay, so we've covered tap water, bottled water, street food. I think our listeners are getting a pretty good sense of the water situation.
I think so too. But before we finish this deep dive, there's one more thing we got to talk about. What happens if you do accidentally drink the tap water or get some bad ice? How do you know if something's wrong and what should you do about it?
Right. Important question. Okay, let's get into all of that. How to stay healthy if things go a little wrong right after this. All right, so let's talk about that, just in case situation. You accidentally drink some tap water, or maybe the ice in your drink wasn't from, bottled water. What happens then? What should people watch out for?
Well, honestly, chances are you'll be totally fine. But if you do start feeling a little icky, it's usually upset stomach, maybe some diarrhea, could be a little nauseous.
Okay, so not fun,
Yeah.
but not like a medical emergency.
Right. It's your body's way of being like, hey, something's not quite right here.
So what do you do if that happens?
The most important thing is to stay hydrated. Really focus on that.
Makes sense.
Those electrolyte powders you can get at the pharmacies, those are amazing. Seriously, a lifesaver. And of course, rest, rest, rest.
So basically, treat it like a normal stomach bug. Rest, lots of fluids, maybe skip the super spicy food for a few days.
Pretty much. And usually that's all you need. But if it's really bad or it just doesn't go away after a couple of days, then definitely see a doctor just to be safe.
Yeah, good advice.
Hmm.
Okay, so we've talked about everything. What to do if you get sick, filters, bottled water, even where the water comes from in the first place. Any final words of wisdom for our listeners before they head off to Thailand?
I think the biggest thing is don't let the water situation stress you out. I know it can seem like a lot, but honestly, it's really not that big of a deal.
Right, be informed, not afraid.
Exactly. Once you know what you're dealing with, it's easy to make good choices, stay healthy, and still have an amazing time. Thailand is incredible. The food, the beaches, I mean, it's paradise. Just remember to stay hydrated while you're enjoying it all.
And hey, maybe you'll even inspire some locals to dish the plastic bottles and go reusable.
There you go. So while you're there, soaking it all in, think about this. Could you be part of the solution to that plastic problem? Bringing your own reusable bottle, using those refill stations. It's a small thing, but it all adds up, right?
Absolutely. Okay, I think that's a wrap on this deep dive into the world of Thai water. We've covered a lot of ground here, from Bangkok to Koh Samui, tap water to bottled water, street food safety, even what to do if things go wrong.
We even talked about chlorine and fluoride. Can't forget that.
We really covered it all. So to our listener, go enjoy that incredible Thailand trip, savor all those amazing experiences, and of course, stay hydrated. Safe travels.